Well, good to see you all again. I am Chef Dan Danis, um, graduate of College of Culinary Practices, and I'm going to talk to you about the recipe book that that we receive in college. Okay, first year college recipe book. Now, this isn't the Gislin textbook. It's not Wiley. Um, um, how-to program through the computer. These are the recipes that you print out that we make daily at the college for the restaurant, um, for the cafeteria, or for the little store that sells little lunch stuff that take home. That's not of the cafeteria. They have a little store with a neat little name to it. So this is first year right here. It's pretty thick. That is first year recipe book from college. So I'm going to go through a bunch of them just so you know what to expect if you're going into college, or if you're in first year right now and you are taking the safety program before you do this, because they want you to have your food handlers and your allergen certificate before you actually get into it, and you got to pass that, right? So that's like passing your math test before you can be go in to do your practical in nursing. You have to do your math. Same sort of situation. You got to do the food handler situation. So, and I have also all the answers for that. You want to keep all your paperwork, okay? Because when you go to do your Red Seal test, you're going to need all those answers. So don't throw them out. Don't chuck your textbook out, and unless you're only doing culinary to get into the country, or to use it as a prerequisite to get into music or something like that at another college. If you truly want to be a chef, move on to your master's one day, get your Red Seal, etc., etc. Keep all your answers from the safety program. The professors are very good there, and I enjoyed their classes. I did very well. I graduated. I made the dean's list, all right, at the end of it. So I was an honor student, regardless of how it comes out in my videos. I'm just telling you layman like, I mean, you are you, all right? So I'm just helping you, all right, figure it out. Right? I can't do the work for you. You got to figure it out yourself. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to pose to be a master chef of the cordon bleu, a master chef of this, master chef of that in my videos, like you'll see in other YouTube videos of chefs doing these wonderful things. I'm just going to tell you how to do it. You're making a steak, you want to put oil all over your steak, you want to put salt and pepper on the left and the right side of your steak, both sides, and you're going to stick it in the fry on the grill, right? You're going to turn it just a little bit so you get your nice grilled diamond marks. You're going to cook it a certain way through, you're going to flip it, you're going to cook it to the right temperature. That's how I'm going to tell you to do it. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, I could show you, and I will one day show you if I ever get one of them cameras that stand up. But this is the important thing, is hearing the layman, because that gets you started, right? Rare, 120 degrees to 125 degrees. That's rare. Medium rare is 130 to 135 degrees. Medium steak is cooked at 140 to 145 degrees. Medium well is 150 to 155 degrees, and well done is 160 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That is what you need to remember. And you got the chef there with his thermometer. Yeah, this is 120 degrees. Great. Okay, I mean, you can watch him cook the steak, but really what you need is me or somebody telling you, listen to this. A rare steak is cooked between 120 and 125 degrees Fahrenheit. The danger zone is between 4 degrees and 60 degrees Celsius, which is 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's in between. A temperature danger zone is in between 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius in between that area. That's a safety gig, right? You have to know this because this is going to be on your Red Seal exam. It's one of the last things you got to do. I mean, maybe you can go and you become a master's in school, but you still got to take that Red Seal test. Now, as a cook, I work anywhere in the country, but I mean, the thing about Ontario, Canada is that, and I don't know if maybe it's all of Canada, but you don't really need a certificate to be a cook. You need the certificate to call yourself a commis chef. The lowest level are chefs, but a chef that to do garde manger, a chef that can do garde manger, a chef that can shuck oysters is a commis chef. All right, he or she is the chef that does the minor positions and also works in the food prep. All right, so that is a commis chef, and from a commis chef you move up. Unfortunately, the first job that I got coming out of school as a commis chef was a sous chef. And because he had a pest problem and everyone was leaving, taking their vacation time, he needed some help to run the store and to run the restaurant. And he didn't tell me he was closing down, but he was. There was a bad pest problem. It was cockroaches. And it was my first job out of college, and I was doing sous chef work. All right, which it wasn't easy on me, and it's a darn shame that place had to close down. I lost my position before the restaurant actually closed. He did everything he could to get me to walk out. In fact, I mostly got upset because he kept throwing food on the floor and making the pest problem worse. He had these small hands, you see. And every time he went to grab fries, 3 or 4 of them would fly on the floor, and it just, you get upset after a while. It'd build up and build up and build up. And he didn't care because he knew the place was going to shut down. So his job was in jeopardy too. But you see, by getting rid of me, then the checks would be distributed to less people. The closing checks. So the restaurant was closing, so everybody got a check, a layoff check, right? I didn't get the layoff check. No, he got me to walk out. Smarter than me. But it was my first job, and I served somebody a cockroach and a salad. It grossed the hell out of me, and from that day forward, within a week and a half, I just kept watching him throw food on the floor, and I was always there to clean it up, and I was always showing him that you got to pull the fryer out and clean behind. You have to do this, you got to do that, and all the things that I learned from college, that he just really didn't give a damn because he knew he was going to lose the business. But I didn't know that the business was closing down. I walked out. I couldn't take it anymore. So that's the story of my first job out of college. Cockroaches. I hate cockroaches. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I am going to talk about stuff, like not that myoglobin in birds that fly have red on the bones after cooking. Myoglobin in birds that fly. So birds that fly have myoglobin. So when you see cooked bones with red on the bones, it's because it's from a bird that flies. And it's called myoglobin. It's something I learned. Anyways, it was right here, written down here. That's why I was reading it. Let's look at this. So there's your certificate that you get from passing food handlers. There's your certificate that you get for passing food handlers. That's allergen. All right. Most people don't have allergen certificate. Okay. This is not required in college. I mean, it's required in college, but it's not required in a restaurant. Okay. The food handlers is. All right. But again, you don't have to be a culinary certificate. You don't have to have a culinary certificate in Ontario or in Canada. Maybe it's in Canada, but not in Ontario anyways, to work as a cook, which is kind of stupid. Now, when I was going through college, they didn't have the Smart Serve. All right. Which was kind of silly. I think I should have been able to have Smart Serve. You need Smart Serve when you are adding red wine for your sauce, all right, for your reduction. They didn't do a Smart Serve with me. So, I mean, you can do your Smart Serve on your own. It's like $30 or $60 maybe on the internet. Just do a 60-word test and 60-sentence test, and that's it. So you have your mother sauces flow chart. So the bechamel, velouté, espagnole, tomato, and hollandaise. The mother sauces have small sauces, so they're baby sauces that derive from the mother sauces. So a bechamel, you can have a mornay from a bechamel, all right, which is with cream, butter, or Gruyere cheese, becomes a cheese. And then there are other ones: cream, cheddar, there's Mornay, Nadawa, Asubi, sweet diced onion, simmered and strained from a bechamel. So you got the mother sauce, the bechamel, you got the small sauces from the bechamel. The velouté, same thing. Bercy, Almond, Supreme, Aurora, Cardinal. The Espagnole, you got a Choiseul, Chateaubriand, Bordelaise, Robert, Duxelles, yeah, onion, mushrooms, white wine, tomato, Duxelles. Tomato, Creole, Spanish, Milanese, Neapolitan, Bolognese. I made a bolognese the other day, right, with the ground meat and the pork and oregano. I didn't put red wine in it, all right, to make a proper bolognese, but I was just using a spaghetti, and I was just showing you how to make the bolognese. Then mirepoix, and you take the immersion blender, and you blend it right up. It changes color and everything. It's very beautiful bolognese, and the taste is amazing. Stick with pork fat, though. Don't try to use something else because it just doesn't taste the same. And then you got your hollandaise. In the hollandaise, you get béarnaise, mousseline, maltaise, grimrode, and a charol. And I always said to another chef, I've said to a few chefs, there should be another mother sauce. All right. And, I think I think there is a mother sauce, but they don't want to say that there is another mother sauce. And if I had to guess what that other mother sauce is, I'd put butter and water together. Maybe butter and milk together, butter and water together. Yeah. But, I mean, that's just me. We keep on going. And my recipe for Ballantine chicken. I'm going to talk about that another time. Coq au vin and Ballantine chicken were the exams at school. There'll probably be the exams this year too. So you might want to listen to my coq au vin video. Now it's not perfect, you know. When you're listening to the professor, have a pen and paper and write down everything that he does. And then put it on your own words after class up at the library, and follow those instructions. And that's how you're going to pass your exam. If you have trouble understanding English, it might be difficult. Of course, I learned how to speak a little bit of Indian. Shukriya, kirpa kake, that's please and thank you. Shukriya means thank you. Kirpa kake means please. And I have it written how to order people around too, but I'm not going to look that up. I didn't memorize it. So anyways, pork Wellington is one of them. That's something we have to learn how to make. Let's see, tricolored carrots. You know, they're easy things too. You know, tricolored carrots. I mean, you got the carrots, salt, pepper, and butter. You know, not much to it. Just remember that you have to blanch them, and you have to shock them, and then you have to reboil them just before your food is ready so that they are done enough. And tricolor carrots, you don't want to shave them. Okay, just cut them in half, and you display them like that on your plate. Beets and spinach. Jus de Vili. Roasted beets. Beets are awesome for you. Anna potatoes. There's my bechamel, velouté. So bechamel is clarified butter, all-purpose flour, milk, bay leaf, onion peeled, whole clove, salt, white pepper, nutmeg, and again oignon bouquet, oignon piqué. So that's the half an onion cut, and you're sticking the bay leaf to the onion using a piece of clove. It's like a little nail, and you're putting it in the bechamel sauce as it's cooking. You're going to take it out later, but it's for taste, right? Kind of like a sachet So you got the velouté, clarified butter, white mirepoix, onion, celery, diced, maybe flour, white stock, bay leaf, thyme, peppercorn, parsley stem, salt, and white pepper. Hollandaise, clarified butter. You got to clarify the butter. And you boil it a little bit, separate the parts, right? Egg yolk, lemon juice, salt, cayenne pepper to taste. Not too much cayenne pepper. Espanol, it comes with the sachet, bay leaf, thyme, peppercorns, parsley stems. Tomato paste, always in the Espanol. It is the foundation of your reduction sauces, of the most beautiful sauces you can make. The glaze sauce, the glace. I guess it's the glass because you're deglazing the pan during the process. After all the bottom font is brought up when you're deglazing it with the broth or the stock. One has meat, one is just vegetable, stock, broth. Okay. There's your Espanol sauce, your tomato sauce. Oh, we got a chicken parm. So I guess I was talking about chicken parm the other day, where you have your chicken breast and you're pounding the chicken breast, and you're going to put it in the flour and in the egg and then the breadcrumbs. You're going to throw it into the deep fryer for a bit. or you're going to throw it into your pan. All right, you can make that two ways. You can put it in a pan, or you can put it in a deep fryer. A lot of restaurants will put it in a deep fryer and throw some tomato sauce on top. Two different kinds of cheeses, usually Parmesan and what's the other one? It doesn't say here, but it's a big cheese, big flat cheeses, and Parmesan. You can here we're using a mozzarella cheese, so mozzarella and Parmesan together, and so you can put it in a frying pan, or you can deep fry it. The restaurants that I worked at, they were just deep frying it. Right, you put it on the plate, and you add the cheese, you add the sauce, you add the cheese, you stick it in the salamander for a few minutes. The salamander's like this big rectangle oven that's usually above the stove, and you just stick it in there for a few minutes. It warms it up, melts the cheese to a nice golden, and then you set it out for people to eat. And that's a chicken parm. And you got the tomato sauce. The breadcrumbs are called panko from Italy, I believe. Tomato sauce, tomato coulis sauce, olive oil, cooking onions, garlic, tinned tomatoes, basil, fresh, salt and pepper, all mixed together. Fresh pasta. Oh, we made our pasta from scratch at school. And it's not hard, but you wouldn't believe how many restaurants won't do it. Oh, we don't make our pasta here. Say, what? Italian restaurant? No, it takes too long, he says to me. Fresh pasta is the best pasta, and it's not hard. I mean, you can make one of the teachers, they teach you how to make multicolored pasta. You can have green pasta, red pasta, yellow pasta. I mean, you're just mixing like turmeric to make yellow pasta. You're mixing green to make green pasta, and red to make red pasta. It's not that hard, But we made fresh pasta. So I mean, fresh pasta is flour. So we had 270 grams of flour, and then eggs, a whole beaten egg, olive oil, salt, and then Parmesan cheese for garnish. So we got our flour. It's on the table. You make a volcano, right, with your flour. So you're making a dimple, a big hole in the middle of the flour. It looks just like a volcano now. The egg that's beaten, so you're using 3 eggs, 3 beaten eggs in 270 grams of flour. All right. Olive oil, salt. Okay, now the egg goes into the volcano, where you then bring the flour up into the volcano and mix it that way, and it will mix. You're going to add a pinch of salt in with that, and a little bit of olive oil in this recipe here. So it says, mound the flour, make a well in the center, and add 3 eggs, oil and salt. So you're going to put the oil and the salt in the eggs, beat the eggs, put the eggs in the volcano, and then fold it in on itself, and keep folding it in on itself, and mix it and mix it and mix it and mix it until you get a dough. Add a little Parmesan cheese for garnish. Parmesan cheese for garnish. Yeah, let's not add Parmesan cheese for garnish. Now, these recipes, they weren't all perfect. Okay. They do come from the college, but they're not all perfect. So now you're going to knead it. So you got to knead the dough. You're kneading it for like 5 minutes. So knead until the flour is incorporated, okay? And if the dough seems a little too hard, just add a little bit of water, just a touch of water, splash of water with your fingertips. Just not much water, okay? Now you might need a little bit more water, just a couple splashes, but don't like pour water on top of it expecting it to be perfect. Just a little splashes of water at a time, and knead and knead and knead. A little bit more water, splash a little bit more. All right, but don't take like 10 milliliters of water and pour it on top. You might have too much water. Just a little bit at a time, okay? And you'll get a nice incorporation there, okay? Now cover and let rest for 30 minutes, okay? I say in the fridge. Take it out, cut the dough into 2 or 3 pieces, and into little pieces, okay? Now you want to roll it into a bit of a rectangle, all right, with your rolling pin. Now you'll have a machine in front of you that you roll the dough into the machine, okay? And it's going to flatten the dough as it rolls into the machine, okay? And every time you put it through the machine, you got to dust it with flour, okay? You're dusting it with flour because you don't want it to be too sticky. If it's too sticky, it'll stick to the machine. Pain in the neck, okay, to clean that machine. Never use water on that machine, okay? Which means that you want to make sure there's enough flour on that dough. Because if you get a sticky dough all over that machine, your teacher will just hang you. Want to anyways. All right. So keep passing it through until it's very, very thin. Okay. And when you have big long strips, all right, you're going to have maybe 3 pieces. All right. You're going to roll those 3 pieces into rectangles about this big. And then you're going to pass each one through the machine until it's this big. All right, and really thin enough that you could see your fingers on the other side. So it's translucent to see your fingers on the other side of that dough. All right, and then you lay it out. All right, you put some flour. Keep flour all over the place. You want flour all over the place, okay? And you're going to take your cutter, and you're going to cut into linguine. Okay, you're going to cut into linguine or squares. Cut into squares for ravioli. Okay. Now, if you're making ravioli, you're going to want the innards being cooked on the side somewhere, so you'll be prepared with those innards. So you'll cut a bunch of strips. You have boiling water right beside you. I mean, this is how easy it is. You got boiling water right beside you. You cut a bunch of strips after putting it through the machine. It's translucent, okay? And you're cutting them, like that thick, and you can go that long if you want to. All right, I wouldn't go too long, like this, and you throw them into the boiling water for 2 minutes. Not very long. All right. If you're not sure, take one out and taste it. Okay. I mean, it's going to be pasta, right? That's all there is to it. You're turning dough into pasta. Same pasta you get, but it's excellent pasta. This is pasta. That stuff you get in the packages there, it's not, I mean, it's okay, it's pasta, but. And again, you're not making macaroni here, all right? If you want to make macaroni, there's a machine that makes macaroni out of the pasta, out of the dough that you're creating. So, but this is fresh pasta for like linguine, okay, or ravioli. You make squares, and you make your ravioli. So that's fresh pasta. Now you know how to do it. Let's see here. Yeah, that'd be the way that you'd make a linguine. All right, they can be long like this, if you want, and that thick, it's linguine. What linguine looks like, right? Make 5 or 6 of them, throw them in the boiling water. A minute or two later, it doesn't have to be continuously boiling, but a big pot is good. Um, the more water, the better. All right, you don't have to add oil to it. You can add salt to it to bring the temperature up if you want, but oil to stop pasta from sticking is just it's more of a myth. All right, it's a waste of oil. Don't use oil to cook pasta. It's about the amount of water that's in the pot. All right, if you don't want your pasta to stick on the stove at home while you're cooking pasta, cook the pasta in a larger thing of water. Okay, large thing of water. The more water, your pasta won't stick. So we got chicken stock, we got beef stock. Okay. The difference between a broth and a stock. Right? How to make mayonnaise. Oh, I love that one. I messed up the mayonnaise the first time, and I messed up hollandaise sauce the first time. But mayonnaise I messed up for the first time, and after that I never messed it up again, and I always made perfect mayonnaise. But it wasn't easy. The way we had to make mayonnaise was in a little steel bowl and a whisk, and later on in the year when we had to make mayonnaise, we put it in a measuring cup, the ingredients, and then we use an immersion blender. The immersion blender, and it made perfect mayonnaise. It was like nothing. So I mean, you got your egg yolk. You add a little white vinegar, a little salt, a little dry mustard, or a little Dijon, a little cayenne pepper, and then a little bit of lemon juice or lemon juice, white wine vinegar. Okay, so the egg yolks, I would go with a couple of egg yolks. Okay, I would go with a dash of white vinegar or white wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, a little bit of salt, like 1.5 milliliters of salt, dry mustard, again, or Dijon mustard is fine too, cayenne pepper. Now, what you're doing is you're adding a little bit of oil at a time. So oil, vegetable oil or canola oil is just fine. You don't have to use olive oil for this. It's vegetable oil. And you can put a little bit in, all right, to start it off. And when you're blending with the immersion blender, and then you're pouring the oil as you're immersion blending. You pour a little bit more oil, a little bit more oil, a little bit more oil, like that, and until all the oil is gone, and then you should have a perfect mayonnaise. And just enough cayenne pepper, not too much, all right? When it's a nice mayonnaise looking, taste it. It should taste absolutely wonderful. And that's about it. We didn't use much lemon juice. I mean, you take the lemon juice and just squish it like that. Maybe a whole lemon, right? One whole lemon. You just squish it, or you take the juice of the lemon that's in a bottle, right? And you just squish it a little bit. They're saying about 8 milliliters lemon juice, 8 milliliters of vinegar. I mean, you can experiment. Most of the time, mayonnaise comes out perfect. All right. You can be a little off on some of them. All right. But oil, vegetable oil is mostly the main ingredient. I would not forget the Dijon mustard, the dry mustard. I would use Dijon mustard. I wouldn't use too much vinegar. Salt, egg yolks, very important. And try to use the immersion blender. Yeah. You can use the whisk. It won't be as easy. All right. Yeah. Again, if you can't find an immersion blender, Jean Couture, the pharmacy here in Vanier, has immersion hand blenders. They're about $15, not expensive at all. And then you can get the other blenders with the two heads on them that spin, right? The two heads spin, and it's a plug-in, zzz, like this, like you're making pudding. So, anyways, that's mayonnaise. Mayonnaise again. French omelet. Not much to that. Eggs Benedict is made with hollandaise sauce. I believe I did something about eggs Benedict in my second or third video. So it's 50% water, 50% vinegar. You let it sit. It'll kind of harden a little bit. You want to hot water, not boiling water. You want to see those bubbles at the bottom of the pot, though. Okay, so warm enough that it's almost bubbling, but not bubbling. Okay. You don't want to overcook that yolk because an eggs Benedict is not overcooked yolk. All right. Make sure you know that if you ever have anybody important to serve it to. And then you pull it out and you put the hollandaise sauce on top. Best hollandaise is the one you make, not the one you buy. Most restaurants will order hollandaise and it'll come in a white bucket. And, it's like eating a bad chicken noodle soup. I mean, to each their own with the taste buds, everybody has a different palate, but, beef bourguignon, coq au vin, acorn squash, baked acorn squash. Be surprised what's really tasty. Carrot and ginger soup is one of my favorite, best dishes. It's one of the things we made in school. And I love making soup with my immersion blender. This is one of the soups that I make. Another soup is one that I learned from a previous chef I worked at, and it's asparagus Gruyere cheese soup, and that is just absolutely amazing. I have never been able to duplicate his work, but every chef has a masterpiece. Mine is probably the carrot and ginger soup, but I don't know yet. I'm still, I'm not, 20 years into being a chef. Can I say? Some chefs are amazing. Roast beef au jus. So you got the beef, carrot, onion, celery, mirepoix, and tomato paste. That's your espagnole. It's got tomato paste, so mirepoix and an espagnole. That's your fondation. All right, for your reduction. Right. So beef au jus. So beef top butt. All right. So you're cooking the meat in the pot to create a font with your mirepoix, the carrot, onion, and celery, and you're putting the tomato paste in there. It's creating a font at the bottom of your pot, and then you're adding a little red wine. All right. Now you're adding some beef stock. All right, to the font so that you can deglaze the bottom of the pot. All right. Now it's cooking a while. It's like 320 milliliters of beef stock. It's a lot. All right, for what there is here. So I'll read you. So the chunk of beef is about 300 grams worth. All right. The carrot, onion, and celery, and the mirepoix. All right. So it's here they're going 50% carrot. Now mirepoix is normally 50% onion. All right, 25% carrot, 25% celery. But in this situation, roast beef au jus, the recipe calls for 50% carrot. So 25% onion, 25% celery, about 1 spoon of tomato paste. Not very much. All right. And 30 milliliters of red wine. So you're going to flambe that a little bit, and which probably won't flambe too much in the bottom of a pot, but um, I guess the alcohol will burn away anyways. Add the beef stock to it, and all the flavors come together when you're deglazing it with your wooden spoon. All right, good to have a wooden spoon. Don't forget your wooden spoon in life. Very important because you're working with a metal spoon in college is pretty much all they give you. So you're gonna have to go to the store, buy yourself a wooden spoon. This one was $30. All right, but you can get the same sort of wooden spoon if you go to the dollar store for $2. All right. Maybe it's the type of wood, specific cedar or something like that. I don't know. But okay, so I mean that's the way the beef au jus goes, and then you're going to heat it, put it on simmer. You're going to drain it, put it through your strainer, your china cap, and you're going to reduce it some more. Drain off all fat. Yeah, and there's a whole procedure here for it. I'm not going to get into it. Roasted garlic mashed potato. I mean, it's an au jus, right? I did au jus in my fourth video, I think, maybe fifth video. So you can look back and see how I did that. And if you want to put the red wine in it, go ahead. I guess a lot of people do. I think I did. I don't remember. It's a while ago now. I'm making a lot of videos, probably one every day. 41 minutes. I'm going to try and keep it under an hour. Just go through a few more of these real fast. Fried rice, rice pilaf, cream of mushroom soup. Really isn't that hard to do. 35% cream, right? Your mushrooms, salt, white pepper. You're not using black pepper because it's a cream soup. All right. You're going to use the chicken velouté the mother sauce velouté, and it's going to be a chicken velouté. And you're going to use butter, onions, small dice, mushrooms, small diced. It's not very hard. So at the bottom of the pot, you got your onions, you got your mushrooms, you got your butter, you got your salt, you got your pepper. You let it, you let it, um, you let it cook in there. You get a little transparency from your onions. You're going to deglaze with your chicken velouté sauce, okay, and then um, hmm. and then there's quite a bit of water in there in the velouté, 4 liters worth, right? And then you're going to use 35% cream, and the cream is going to be of, let's see, 4 liters of 70 milliliters. I'd go a little bit more than that of 35% cream. And you mix it all up. Okay, here's the thing. It's this is making 500 milliliters. That's the yield. It's 500 milliliters here. So 150 grams of mushrooms, onions, 35 grams of mushrooms, butter, 8 grams of mushrooms. Chicken velouté is 4 liters. It says 0.4 liters. It's not really 4 liters. It's 0.400 liters. They didn't do this right, eh? White stock as needed, 0.10 liters. Let's just say chicken stock, okay? Chicken stock, 4 liters. Onions, 35 grams. It's not enough. I mean, it's not enough for 4 liters. Mushrooms, small diced, 150 grams. It's not very big. Again, we're making 500 milliliters, so 150 grams, 35 grams of onions, 8 grams of butter. So is it like 100 milliliters of stock? And then 70 milliliters of cream. Mushrooms sliced or diced. Mushrooms small diced. It's adding mushrooms again. Yeah. You got to work it out in your head, I mean. When you're cooking it, you see it, you just imagine, all right, you got it in your pot, you want a certain amount, so you make that certain amount. I mean, the cream and the stock, it doesn't have to be perfect, all right? Just so long as there's enough mushrooms in there, enough onions in there, so that when you take the immersion blender to it, zzz, like this, it's immersing everything really nicely, chopping it all up real small, and it's not too watery. All right, so that's a 35% cream. You don't want it too watery. You want it's a cream soup, right? Anyways, cream of mushroom soup. I've made it a couple of times, and they're off the top of my head. And when I made it, it tasted just perfect. And don't be afraid to add butter, lots of butter to it. Pork loin medallion, cream pork tenderloin, grilled salmon. Always start on the skin side down. Get a nice sear. All right. You turn it over. Montebeurre. All right. So you got your butter right beside you, sitting on a bowl of ice cubes, because it's going to melt if you don't. It's right next to the grill. You take a couple of cubes, you throw it into the pan. When you flip over the salmon, you let the butter melt. You monte the beurre. So you're basting it in the butter. All right. You don't cook it all the way though. You take it and you stick it in the oven for a minute or two, and then you take it out and you use a thermostat. You see what the temperature is for it. Mac and cheese. Vegetable soup. Oh, vegetable soup was really something. Consomme was really something. Doughs, pie dough, multigrain bread, soft rolls, eclairs. We did a few. We did like a month and a week in pastry classes before we went to other classes in cooking. That was right at the beginning of the year, about the same time we're doing our safeties for the food handler. So that's what you get to experience before you actually start making mirepoix. Chocolate mousse, chocolate chip cookies, brownies. Learn how to make all that stuff. Lemon pie meringue, chocolate ganache, focaccia bread. I made a very nice focaccia bread. That was one of the ones I had to do near the end of the course. Creme brulee. Oh, there's a nice one. Creme brulee. Something about creme brulee is don't make it too hard on top. It's a rich person's dessert. Just don't make it too hard on top, and you'll have a perfect creme brulee. You can mess up creme brulee by making the top part too hard. And that's about the only thing with creme brulee. It's an awesome, awesome snack. People love it. Let's see here. Caramel sauce. Aha. I'll show you this real fast. You might want to pause it. Going back a little bit, Okay. Take a picture. Okay. Trade calculations. Those are the formulas. If you want to change a temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius, that tells you how to do it. One way is a little easier than the other. Just make sure you press the equals first. Crème anglaise, vanilla custard sauce. It's so good. So easy to make. Egg yolks and sugar and milk, vanilla, whisk. Crème anglaise. Chicken consomme. That wasn't so easy to make. That's a long story. Hummus. Oh, I love making hummus. Out of chickpeas, I made a very nice hummus. Do that in a RoboCoupe. The tools of the trade, a RoboCoupe, a Ninja, ratatouille, that's vegetarian. I had that on my menu that I had to make in menu class. Some people find that that's a difficult class to do. I think my menu was much nicer. My class were just taking the course so that they can get into something else, which isn't such a bad idea. I've been thinking about that myself. Different breads, like naan bread. Naan bread is something that you gotta learn how to make. Active dry yeast, warm water, white sugar, milk, whole egg, salt, bread flour, garlic minced, unsalted butter. Leek pancakes. Well, I like leek, but I like pan-fried leek with salt and pepper and butter. That's the way I make my leek, and it's leek julienne. It's cut up in little strips. Beef stew, pork wine. Oh, there's just so much stuff. I could go on and on and on and on. Carrot, ginger, Thai red curry, and coconut soup. Oh, that's the one. That's the one that my favorite one right there. Falafels. You're gonna make falafels. You're gonna have to learn falafels. You're gonna have to learn Mediterranean bowls. Falafels go with Mediterranean bowls. That's one of the when I went to that restaurant with the pest problem, we had a Mediterranean bowl and we served falafels with it. Now he didn't make his falafels like we did at school. He ordered them, and they didn't look the same. Our falafels were so much better. I never would have eaten a falafel any time in my life if it wasn't for school. I still haven't made one since I left, since I graduated. Roasted Bombay potatoes, Indian mushroom curry, mayonnaise, vermicelli noodles. Ooh, a brown butter spread. I think they're emulsifying the butter. I told you I had to do that a couple days ago. Vietnamese spring rolls with sweet chili dipping sauce. That was good stuff. I remember making this. Like you make all this in class. You're doing it day after day after day after day until they drill it into your head that you just don't even forget how to make the stuff. Black bean brownie didn't do very well, so we switched it with something else. Let's see here. Oh, all this wonderful food. Onion steak. Ugh, I didn't like the onion steak, but you had to make it with the red wine balsamic sauce. It's just one of the things we had to make. I mean, who makes an onion steak? You know, I mean, yeah, I'm going to have onion steak tonight. I guess it's a delicacy somewhere. I think it was a delicacy somewhere. I think they did do onion steaks for a little while. You take a big Spanish onion and you cut a piece out of it that's that thick, and you got to cut it so that the pieces of onion, so it doesn't fall apart, right? So you're pretty much taking the very center of that onion, right? 1 inch of it like this, and it's a steak. It's an onion steak. Soft roll. Oh, I'm getting hungry. All this wonderful food. And then I look at macaroni and cheese. Cheese. Baked lasagna. That's something we did. And we made a Bolognese sauce. Yeah, Bolognese sauce with the baked lasagna. Bolognese here is made with vegetable oil, butter, onion, celery, carrots, that's your mirepoix, ground beef, preferably chuck, salt, and pepper. Yeah. And that's how they made the bolognese. And tomato, canned tomatoes, tomato paste, salt, pepper. Looks like they added ingredients. Add milk and nutmeg slowly until almost. Add the wine continuously to simmer until the wine is reduced 25%. They add wine to bolognese sauce. And as we saw at the beginning in the mother sauces, when we were talking about the mother sauces a few minutes ago, bolognese is under the tomato category. So the mother sauce is a bechamel, velouté, espagnole, tomato, and hollandaise. So the child sauce of the tomato is Creole, Spanish, Milanese, Napoleon, and Bolognese. Bolognese sauce. Bolognese sauce is made with the mirepoix, ground meat, red wine, and oregano. So we go back here and we're making it for the baked lasagna. All right. And again, we made the pasta noodles for the lasagna. So we put it through the machine. We made the pasta from dough, the eggs. Remember the volcano I was talking about? All right. And we kneaded it, stored it for 30 minutes, took it back out again. And I think you put it in a proofer, but I think we put it in the fridge. All right. For this specific thing, like something like focaccia bread, you would put it in a proofer for a little while. A proofer is a machine that keeps a certain temperature, humidity. All right. So it allows it to rise, I guess, and get bigger. But in this, we made the lasagna. So we made those 3 chunks of dough, all right, pasta dough, and then we rolled it out into rectangle, and we put it through the machine. Make sure you lose lots of flour so that the dough doesn't stick to the machine, because you can't put water in the machine, right? And you run it through the machine until you could see your fingers behind it, nice and translucent. And then we'd cut thick. Instead of cutting linguine, we were cutting lasagna noodles. So they were this thick. They were 3-inch thick. And they were about this long, because we're putting them in packages to sell at the store. And the packages were foil metal packages this big with a plastic lid, and that was the lasagna. So we measured the size of it. All right. So we cut the noodles to be rectangles this big. All right. So it would fit in the package that we were selling the lasagna in. And we put the lasagna, we put the cheese, we put the meat, lasagna, cheese, meat, lasagna, cheese, and you stick it in the oven for a nice golden au gratin, I think it's called, to make a golden crust on top. Au gratin, I think is the word. And then we let it cool a little bit so we could put the lid on. And we sent it off to the school store where people could buy it like that. And that's your lasagna. So I mean, if you're making it at home, all right, your sheet would probably be this big, right? So make sure you measure the size of it, because that'll tell you where to cut. All right, the size of your pasta, lasagna pasta, right? So I guess that's about it for now. I don't want to go over an hour. I'm up to shepherd's pie, ricotta, so much wonderful stuff here I want to talk about. Next episode, I'm going to talk about health and safety. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to be talking about health and safety in my next one. There's a little something for you to look at. Might want to take a picture of that too. All right, that's your dice, that's your batonette, that's your julienne. That's the size it's supposed to be. All right, there's a little bit more information on your weights and volumes. All right, they give you this little card here when you're in school too. And And that's it. 15 seconds left. Have a very wonderful afternoon. Thank you for listening. It's always a pleasure to have you. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe. It helps. The more people watch me, the better, and I hope you learned something. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for watching Cooking with Chef Dan Danis.